Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to talk about what is actually the best underbarrel, aka the best grip to use in Warzone and Modern Warfare. As most of you guys should know, there's a bunch of videos that recently came out talking about some of the hidden buffs to the Merc foregrip. And after I recently found out about the Merc foregrip getting a hidden buff, I went through and retested the Tactical, the Commando, the Ranger, and the Merc to test out if I could find any differences in the overall stats. I actually did find two big differences on the Commando and the Tactical that actually make them a little bit worse than what you had initially anticipated. In today's video, we're basically going to break it down what the difference between stabilization, control, and obviously aiming stability is, which grip is actually the best, and what grip you should be using on which set of weapons to give you guys the best overall class setup. So if you guys learn anything new in today's video, you guys want to leave a like, I would really appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys haven't yet subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. So the first and foremost thing is to break down the biggest difference between what is stability, control, and stabilization, because I feel like there's still a big huge misconcept about what stabilization actually is. And a lot of the reasons a lot of people use the Merc over the Commando is because they don't understand what stabilization really is. And what I like to define it as is helps reduce the side-to-side variance of your recoil pattern. So when you shoot a gun, your gun is going to be kicked left to right a little bit. Obviously, every single gun, more so on the MP7, you'll notice it the most. I'll showcase the picture on the screen so you guys can see the MP7 with the Commando foregrip, and then the MP7 with the VLK sight, which also helps stabilization. You guys will be able to see if you look at the actual bullets that are hitting the wall with the Commando and with the VLK sight, the line is straighter, which is what stabilization is. It basically helps make your recoil pattern shoot more in a straight line, which is obviously going to help you hit the most shots possible. With obviously the recoil control, you're obviously going to get less overall vertical kick. You guys can see on the screen a picture of obviously just MP7, and then with the Merc and the Ranger, you guys can see the overall vertical kick, which is the easiest recoil to control, is a little bit less. Then obviously the last most important stat of the overall, talking about the best grip, is obviously the stability. Both the Commando and the Ranger help increase your stability, which is your idle. So when you're aim down sight, just holding the L trigger down, you're aiming at an enemy, your gun is going to sway a little bit, which is obviously to help somewhat balance the game. With the Commando and the Ranger, both are going to help increase this a little bit, which is definitely going to help your overall accuracy, which is definitely something good to go for. So as far as about the most important thing I want to talk about is the two hidden stats I ended up finding. Well, technically three. That Merc foregrip was recently found out to have about anywhere between a 3 to 4% increase in your overall movement speed. I did test that. You guys will see a little video clip on the screen. It 100% did change. This was never listed in any past notes. Obviously, a bunch of other YouTubers found this out. I tested it just a couple guns. It definitely is true. The biggest thing I found out, which I haven't seen anyone else test out, which was recently changed, which I'm a huge not a fan of, is the Commando foregrip and the Tactical foregrip. Both don't claim it, but they do make your stray speed worse. And in my testing of the Commando foregrip, it actually makes your stray speed worse than that of the Merc and the Ranger. There's two reasons why I'm really not a fan of using either of those, is that stray speed being lowered. So with that Commando foregrip, I found it was 15% worse. I tested the MP7, the Growl, and the M4 and the Kilo. All four guns had a 15% slower stray speed, which in certain situations is almost double, if not more than double, what is the negative, obviously, of the Ranger and the Merc. So this is definitely a big factor. What I found on the Tactical foregrip was it was not as consistent. It was anywhere between 10 to 12% worse stray speed, which the reason I always talk about stray speed so much is it helps you win more gunfights. I'm shooting somebody and I'm moving left to right to try and track them. If I can't strafe as fast, I'm obviously an easier target to hit. It also makes you a little bit not as able to control your recoil because you can't move as fast while strafing. So I definitely think it's a big factor as far as your overall accuracy. Like I said, with that Commando getting a 15% slower strafe speed, I don't know when this was added, but I personally am the biggest fan of the Commando foregrip. I think it's probably the best grip to use pre-making of this video. So now when you take a look at all those factors, you have the stray speed and the movement speed. With that Commando, you're getting 2% slower movement speed. In exchange, you're also getting a 15% slower stray speed. So when you compare it to like the Merc foregrip is going to give you a 3% faster movement speed, only anywhere between 6 and 10% slower stray speed. So it moves 5% faster and it strafes 2.5 times faster. So the Merc foregrip to me is the only grip you should really be using. The biggest factor picking between the Commando and the Merc on certain guns is obviously just depends which guns have the best recoil. A gun like the Growl, which is purely vertical only, adding a Merc foregrip is basically going to do nothing to help the overall recoil pattern. And then once you can take a gun like the Kilo that has a vertical recoil pattern only, using the Merc is once again going to do nothing. So I definitely would 100% recommend using the Commando. I recommend the Commando on a majority of weapons, just because a majority of the weapons, you know, they don't have the best, obviously, recoil pattern. But the biggest factor for me is, once again, the negatives of the Commando are huge now. That Merc foregrip gives you a 20% better hipfire spread on a majority of the weapons, 3% faster movement speed, and on a majority of the weapons has a slightly slower aim down sight time and a slightly slower stray speed. As far as comparing the Merc to the Ranger, what is the biggest factor on why the Ranger right now to me is useless is you get a better idle sway, a better recoil. In my testing of it, it did have a slightly more stable recoil than the Merc, which is a big factor, but it has a slower stray speed and a slower aim down sight time, which is almost identical to what the Merc does, but it doesn't give you a better hipfire spread, which helps your accuracy. It doesn't give you, obviously, faster movement speed, which helps your mobility. So the Merc just has everything better than the Ranger. And once again, like the Commando, like I said, has a big negative that's not listed on the stat card, nor was in the patch notes. So my final assumption, breaking it down, is if you're using a gun that basically has a vertical recoil pattern only, use the Commando. The Kilo, the Growl, definitely use the Commando. It's going to help your overall accuracy to be the best. If you're using a gun that doesn't have the best recoil, definitely use the Merc. It's going to give you the best overall stats. The Merc's going to be best if you're using a SMG. Obviously going to help increase the hipfire, something like the MP7, MP5. Obviously, I'm never going to recommend the Commando over the Merc on an SMG or hipfire spread. So basically, the Merc foregrip is the new best attachment to use on any single gun. The more class set of videos I'm uploading, I'm doing more and more testing with all these hidden stats coming out. I'm going to start testing every single gun's attachments to give you guys the best breakdown I can possible. So if there's any specific class setups, any guns you guys want me to cover in the next video, leave a comment down below. Whichever gun gets the most thumbs up on the comment of which class you guys want to make, I will make that gun next. If you guys did enjoy the video, like I said, make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. You guys already know the best and only code to use on all of your scuff and GFUEL purchases is code Trapgod. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.